Namaskar, good evening viewers. You're watching Sansad TV and this is the news with me, Bhavna Nair. Over the next 30 minutes, we bring you the top developments of the day from across the world. But first up, the headlines. Uddhav Thackeray government to face floor test tomorrow. Maharashtra governor calls for special session. Eknath Shinde faction to join proceedings. Centre approves deregulation of sale of crude oil produced in the country. 2.5 thousand crore rupees to be spent on computerization of primary agricultural credit societies. 13 crore farmers to benefit. Dates announced for vice presidential election. Nominations to be filed from 5th to 19th July. Voting on 6th August. GST Council defers decision on imposing 28% tax on casinos, online gaming and lotteries. Change in tax rates of many goods and services also approved. NIA starts probe into Udaipur incident. Both suspects linked to terrorist organizations. Murdered victim Kanhaiya Lal cremated. Curfew in 7 police station areas of Udaipur. And after the main headlines, a quick look now at some more important stories of the day. India rejects criticism by UN rights body on the action against Teesta Setalwar and 2 former police officials. MEA calls remarks unwarranted interference in India's judicial system. Prime Minister Modi to visit Bhimavaram, Andhra Pradesh on July 4th for 125th birth anniversary of freedom fighter Alluri Sitarama Raju. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu urges schools to foster spirit of curiosity, innovation and excellence among students, underscores need to focus on value-based holistic education. Science and Technology Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh meets Norwegian counterpart on the sidelines of UN Ocean Conference in Lisbon, discusses matter of bilateral interest. Centre advises states reporting surge in COVID cases to step up vigil against pandemic. Over 14,000 cases reported in the last 24 hours across the country. Niti Aayog's outgoing chief executive Amitabh Kant says India, lagging in artificial intelligence research, needs to elevate supercomputing capabilities like China. Busan University of Foreign Studies sets up India Centre to promote India-focused activities, centre to serve as ready resource for students interested in India. Delhi Police holds cultural program to commemorate Raja Ravi Verma on 174th birth anniversary of renowned painter. Rohit Sharma ruled out of Edgbaston test against England due to COVID. Jasprit Bumrah to lead the Indian side. And Pakistan captain Babar Azam retains top slot in T20I rankings, surpasses Virat Kohli landmark by staying #1 T20 international batsman for 1,013 days. And now the top story of the day. The Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has approved computerization of 63,000 functional primary agricultural credit societies over a period of 5 years. With a total budget outlay of rupees 2,516 crore. The decision will increase their efficiency and bring transparency and accountability in their operations. The PACs constitute the lowest tier of the 3-tier short-term cooperative credit in the country. Information and Broadcasting Minister Anurag Singh Thakur said the move will benefit 13 crore farmers, mostly small and marginal. The Cabinet also cleared deregulation of sale of domestically produced crude oil from 1st October this year. The move will ensure marketing freedom for all exploration and production operators, and they will be free to sell crude oil from their fields in domestic market. The Cabinet also gave its nod to categorization of the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure as an international organization. It also approved signing of the headquarters agreement with CDRI for granting it the exemptions, immunities and privileges as contemplated under the United Nations Privileges and Immunities Act 1947. Moving on, the National Investigation Agency has begun investigation into the brutal murder of the tailor in Udaipur in Rajasthan. The Home Ministry has asked the NIA to treat the murder as a terror incident and probe the role of any international organization in the crime. The NIA has registered a case under sections of Unlawful Activities Prevention Act and the Indian Penal Code against the suspects involved in the incident. Meanwhile, hundreds of local residents joined the funeral procession of the murdered victim Kanhaiya Lal amid heavy security. Curfew was clamped in 7 police areas of Udaipur on Wednesday. Mobile internet services were suspended across all 33 districts of Rajasthan. Section 144 has been imposed all over Rajasthan till 28 July. Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot said his government has taken a serious view of the matter. He convened a high-level meeting with State Home Minister and senior officials to discuss the law and order situation. On Tuesday, 2 men identified as Riaz Akhtari and Gauss Muhammad killed the tailor Kanhaiya Lal with sharp weapons. They released a video of the murder online saying they were avenging an insult to Islam. 5 people, including the 2 prime accused, have been arrested. Preliminary investigation revealed that one of them had links with the Pakistan-based Dawat-e-Islami organization. And now the Election Commission has announced the schedule for Vice President's election. Polling will be held on 6th August and counting of votes will take place on the same day. Notification for the election will be issued on July 5th, which will set in the motion of nomination process. The last date for filing of nomination papers will be July 19th. Scrutiny of nomination papers will be done on July 20th and the last date for withdrawal of candidature is July 22nd. The Secretary General of Lok Sabha will be the returning officer for the election. The election is held in accordance with the system of proportional representation by means of a single transferable vote, and the voting at such election is by secret ballot. Lieutenant Governor of Jammu and Kashmir Manoj Sinha flagged off the first batch of pilgrims for the annual Amarnath Yatra amid chanting by the devotees. The batch of 4,890 pilgrims was flagged off from the Bhagwati Nagar base camp in Jammu city amid tight security for their onward journey to Pahalgam and Baltal base camps in Kashmir. The 43-day pilgrimage to the Amarnath cave shrine will begin on Thursday and will conclude on 11th August. The annual Amarnath Yatra is being organized after a gap of 2 years due to the COVID pandemic. Multi-tier security arrangements have been put in place in and around the base camps, lodging, registration and token centers. Over 5,000 security personnel have been deployed in Jammu city itself. Over 3 lakh pilgrims have registered so far for the annual Amarnath Yatra. The Indian Air Force has received over 2 lakh applications under the Agnipath recruitment scheme within 6 days of the launch of the registration process, the Defence Ministry said on Wednesday. Registration will close on 5th July. India has successfully flight tested indigenously developed high-speed expendable aerial target Abhyas from the integrated test range in Chandipur off the Odisha coast. Abhyas is designed and developed by Aeronautical Development Establishment of DRDO. 2 Lashkar-e-Toiba terrorists have been killed in an encounter with security forces in Jammu and Kashmir, Kulgam. Encounter is underway at the Mir Bazar in Nawapora area. Several areas in West Bengal have been inundated due to the incessant rains in the region. Large parts of Jalpaiguri are submerged, severely affecting normal life. The Met Department has forecast very heavy rain in Jalpaiguri, Alipurduar and Kuch Bihar and heavy rain in the Darjeeling, Kalimpong, North Dinajpur and South Dinajpur till Thursday morning. Rivers including Korola, Tista, Diana, Jaldhaka and Mansai are in the spate owing to the rains occurring for the last several days. Heavy downpour has wreaked havoc in Assam, which is already reeling under flood situation. Brahmaputra, Kopili and Beki rivers are in spate due to the torrential rainfall. The surging floodwaters claimed 5 more lives, including that of a child, in the past 24 hours, while 25 lakh people across 28 districts of the state remained affected. Orange alert has been sounded in several districts till Thursday. Now let us take a look at some more stories from the world of business and economy. The GST Council on Wednesday deferred the decision to levy a 28% tax on casinos, online gaming, horse racing and lottery. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that there is a need for more consultation with stakeholders. A group of ministers headed by Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has been asked to consider submissions of stakeholders again on the evaluation mechanism and submit its report by 15th July. The Council will meet again in the first week of August to decide on the issue. The 47th GST Council has also recommended lowering the GST on the transport of goods and passengers by ropeways to 15% from 18%. About a dozen states have pitched for extending GST compensation after 30th of June. And delay in the onset of the southwest monsoon over major growing regions of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and Gujarat has triggered a sharp rise in prices of pulses over the past 1 week. Prices of tur dal are reported to have gone up by over 5% in major wholesale markets, while urad dal has seen a price rise of over 3 to 4% in the past 1 week. Market regulator SEBI imposed a penalty of 7 crore on the NSE in the dark fiber case. Former NSE official Chitra Ramakrishnan and Anand Subramaniam were also fined 5 crore each. This comes days after SEBI's investigation of alleged collusion of NSE employees with stockbrokers who benefited from the preferential access to the exchange system. 18 entities received penalties. The Russian ruble hit a 7-year high on Tuesday, climbing to 51.8 ruble to a US dollar and 54.55 to a euro. Tuesday's closing exchange rates were the highest against the US dollar since May 2015 and against the euro since April 2015. Lower levels of Russian imports and expanding exports have helped the ruble rise. Meanwhile, a higher trade deficit and a sky-high inflation saw the US economy shrink by 1.6% in the first 3 months this year. It was the first drop in GDP for an economy already reeling under pressure. Even the Federal Reserve recently raised interest rates, hoping to bring down inflation to its 2% target without causing a recession. Following a volatile session, the BSE Sensex fell 150 points on Wednesday, with Hindustan Unilever, IndusLand Bank and IT stocks among major losers. Energy, auto, metal, power and realty stocks were the sectoral gainers. Asian and European markets also ended lower, with Hang Seng and Kospi losing nearly 2%. The rupee closed at a fresh low of 78.97 to the dollar on Wednesday, 0.3% weaker than the previous close. Moving ahead, Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari has asked the Uddhav Thackeray-led Maha Vikas Aghadi government to face a floor test on Thursday. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court said the floor test will take place as scheduled. For more on the story, let's go to my colleague Vishal Dahiya for more details.
The Supreme Court has finally pronounced its verdict on this particular case, and it is clearly said that they're not putting or giving a stay order on the floor test which has been ordered by the governor. That clearly means that the Maha Vikas Aghadi government, which is a coalition of Shiv Sena, Congress and the NCP, will have to go in for the floor test tomorrow at 11 a.m. There were arguments which were made by both sides for almost 3 hours in the Supreme Court today late evening, and after that Supreme Court had reserved 9 p.m. as the time for its verdict. Now the Supreme Court has clarified and clearly put out in its order that the floor test will go on as scheduled, as has been ordered by the governor. But there is an interesting element here as well. Two members of the assembly, that is Nawab Malik and Anil Deshmukh, both of them, the NCP MLAs and former ministers in the government who are in jail right now, had moved in a writ petition seeking the court's permission to go ahead and cast their votes. The court has issued notices on that particular petition and has clearly said that, of course, the floor test will take place tomorrow, but that will be subject to the final decision on these pending petitions as well. So this is one more add-on to the twists and turns in the Maharashtra political crisis. But one thing which is quite certain right now is that Mahavikas Aghadi government led by Uddhav Thackeray will have to go in for the floor test now. Number game is going to be really interesting because the rebel camp of the Shiv Sena led by Eknath Shinde claims that they have the support of 39 Shiv Sena MLAs and 9 independents. Now that's a quite important number because the Shiv Sena itself has 55 MLAs in the assembly. It's the single largest party in the ruling coalition as of now. The opposition BJP has 106 MLAs. The opposition BJP also claims to have support of other smaller parties and few independents as well. So it's going to be interesting to see as to, how it pans out on the floor of the House. And there is also a pending notice of no confidence against the Deputy Speaker himself. So we'll have to look in close detail. And the Governor, in his order for the floor test, had also clarified earlier and pointed out that the floor test proceedings should be telecast live and they should be recorded as well. So it's going to be a very important day for the state of Maharashtra, for the ruling coalition out there, and of course, the opposition parties also.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Vishal, for that detailed update. So Supreme Court verdict has come and the floor test will be scheduled for tomorrow. So all eyes are now on floor test. So it's time for short break here, and on the other side, a European Union deal that is poised to have a far-reaching impact on climate and auto industry. All this and much more on Sansad TV. You stay tuned to this channel.
The glorious journey of India's 75 years of independence, protection of rights, ensuring equality, to empower, to deliver justice. Laws that have defined India and its people, laws that everyone should know. Watch 75 years, laws that shaped India, with me, Hemant Batra, only on Sansad TV.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news, and time now for all the main developments from the Russia-Ukraine war front. Accusing Russia of committing acts of terrorism, Ukrainian President Zelensky urged the United Nations to expel Russia from the Security Council. In a virtual address from Kyiv, he called upon the UN to set up an international tribunal to investigate actions of Russian troops in Ukraine. The meeting was called after Russia's airstrike on a crowded shopping mall in Kremenchuk that killed at least 18 people and wounded 50 others. The British Defence Ministry says there is a real possibility that Russia's missile that hit the shopping center in Kremenchuk was intended for a nearby target. It claimed that Russia's inaccuracy in conducting long-range strikes has previously resulted in mass civilian casualty incidents. Indonesian President Joko Widodo arrived in Kiev to meet Ukrainian President Zelensky. The visit is intended to help restart peace talks between Russia and Ukraine and explore ways to free up exports of grain to global markets. At least 4 people were killed and 2 injured in a Russian missile strike on a residential building in the southern city of Mykolaiv. The city mayor said that 8 missiles hit the region, urging residents to evacuate. Authorities said that the building was hit by a Russian X-55 cruise missile. The NATO summit in Madrid kicked off on Wednesday with a key agenda of strengthening defenses against Russia and supporting Ukraine in its fight against Moscow. Ukrainian President Zelensky will also address the 30 NATO leaders through video link. Moving ahead, India has voiced grave concern at the UN Security Council over reports of civilian deaths in Russia-Ukraine war. India's Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Ambassador R. Ravindra, said that the critical civilian infrastructure in urban areas has become easy targets in situations of armed conflict. He observed that the conflict has resulted in the loss of lives and countless miseries for people, particularly for women, children, and elderly. He also expressed concern over millions becoming homeless and forced to take shelter in neighboring countries. Ravindra added that India has been consistently calling for a complete cessation of all hostilities and advocated the path of peace, dialogue, and diplomacy. And time now for some other global updates. European Union countries reached a deal after hard-fought talks on Wednesday to back stricter climate rules that will eliminate carbon emissions from new cars by 2035. The deal will effectively ensure that only cars will have completely eliminated CO2 emissions will be seen plying on roads. More details in this report.
The 27-nation European Union on Wednesday agreed on a draft legislation aimed at slashing EU greenhouse gases by at least 55% in 2030 compared with 1990. This will mean a 100% carbon dioxide emissions reduction target for new cars and vans by 2035. It will effectively prohibit the sale of new cars powered by gasoline or diesel in the EU. Clean transport campaign groups in the EU have called the agreement historic, as it improves on the agreed target of 40%. The deal will, however, pose a huge challenge for German automakers, whose profits have for long depended on sales of increasingly big, gas-guzzling vehicles. The deal will also allow the Commission to make a proposal to allow cars running exclusively on climate-neutral e-fuels to continue to be sold after 2035. The EU wants to drastically reduce gas emission from transportation by 2050 and promote electric cars. But a report from the bloc's external auditor showed last year that the bloc is lacking appropriate charging stations. Transportation accounts for 25% greenhouse gas emissions in the EU. In addition to the agreement on cars, the package also features a reform of the EU's carbon market and the creation of a social climate fund to help vulnerable households cope with the planned clean energy revamp. The issue has become more politically sensitive as Russia's war in Ukraine has sent fuel prices soaring. Bureau Report, Sunset TV.
And more news from Global Update. NATO has formally invited Finland and Sweden to join the alliance after Turkey lifted its opposition to joining of the two members. NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg has called the formal invitation from the alliance to Sweden and Finland to join the defense bloc a historic decision. A statement by NATO said that the move will make Finland and Sweden safer, NATO stronger, and Euro-Atlantic area more secure. Death toll has climbed to 51 in Texas trailer incident after 5 more heat-struck immigrants lost their lives. 46 people were found dead in a tractor trailer without air conditioning in the sweltering Texas on Monday. The driver of the truck and 2 other people have been arrested. The leaders of Russia, Azerbaijan, Iran and Kazakhstan arrived in Ashgabat, the capital of Turkmenistan, for the Caspian Summit. This is the first visit of the kind for Russian President Putin after his invasion of Ukraine. The summit is taking place at the same time as leaders of NATO countries hold a summit in Madrid. Flights between Tokyo and Seoul resumed on Wednesday after over 2 years. Flights between the two capital cities were suspended due to the spread of COVID-19, which halted travel around the world. Korean Air said that they plan to increase the number of flights in the future by taking into consideration the demand and restrictions in each country. Japan began easing curbs on foreign travel earlier this month. Over 200 Haitian migrants who were traveling by boat ran aground near the Cuban coast instead of their intended destination, the U.S. coast said. Cuban authorities provided the migrants with first aid and medical assistance, after which they were transferred to a migration center to be repatriated to Haiti. This is the second group within a month to require assistance at sea. The group before this was stranded at sea after the captain of the boat abandoned the vessel with the migrants still on board. And after the global wrap, time now for all the sporting action. Starting with badminton, PV Sindhu, a former world champion, and Purapalli Kashyap have made it to the second round of the Malaysia Open Super 750 tournament. Sindhu dished out a fine performance to outwit Thailand's world number 10, Pornpari Chochuwang 21-13, 21-17 in the opening round. Sindhu seeded 7th will next face Fitayo Porn Chaiwan, a 21-year-old from Thailand in the men's singles. Purapalli Kashyap also made a positive return from injury as he prevailed 21-12, 21-17 over Korea's Hyo Kwang-ji to advance to the second round. London Olympic bronze medalist Saina Nehwal went down fighting against American Iris Wang, ranked 33rd in the world. Saina, who has been recovering from a long injury layoff, lost the first round match at the Malaysia Open Super 750 tournament 11-21, 17-21 in 37 minutes. In cricket, India beat Ireland by 4 runs in the second and final T20 international to clinch the 2-match series 2-0. Opting to bat, India posted 225 for 7 with Deepak Hooda top scoring with 104. Sanju Samson contributed 77. The Indians then restricted Ireland to 221 for 5 to win the match. India had won the first match by 7 wickets. In tennis now, 7-time champion Serena Williams was defeated in the first round at Wimbledon. She was playing the first singles match for a year. Serena went down 5-7, 6-1, 6-7 to unseeded Harmony Tan. 12 months ago, Williams quit her Wimbledon first round match in tears after suffering an injury, and she has not played single tennis since until Tuesday. Rafael Nadal overcame a scares in his Wimbledon opener on Tuesday, fighting back from dropping the third set and falling a breakdown in the fourth to eventually see off Argentina's Francisco Cerundolo. Second seed Nadal triumphed 6-4, 6-3, 3-6, 6-4 over 41st ranked Cerundolo. And before we wrap this bulletin, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Supreme Court refuses to stay floor test in Maharashtra. Uddhav government to face confidence vote tomorrow. Centre approves deregulation of sale of crude oil produced in the country. 2.5 thousand crore rupees to be spent on computerization of primary agricultural credit societies. 13 crore farmers to benefit. Dates announced for vice presidential elections. Nominations to be filed from 5th to 19th July. Voting on 6th August. GST Council defers decision on imposing 28% tax on casinos, online gaming and lotteries. Change in tax rates of many goods and services also approved. And NIA starts probe into Udaipur incidents. Both suspects linked to terrorist organizations. Murdered victim Kanhaiya Lal cremated. Curfew in 7 police station areas of Udaipur. And that's all we have in this bulletin. To keep yourself updated, stay tuned to Sansad TV for more informative programs. Till then, goodbye, namaskar.